everyone, welcome to my channel. It's nice to see you. Today I have another Arcana Archives video. So I'm going to jump right in and pick paper here and we'll see what deck we're going to have a walkthrough of. So today we have the Goblins and Gardens. Awesome. I'm going to go grab that deck and we'll hop right in. Okay, so we're back with the Goblins and Gardens Tarot deck. This is the outside of the box. Published in 2022 by Jonathan William Sacha. And it says on the back, "Welcome to a world where you will find no masters, no heroes, no rewards for quests complete, no spoils of war, nor plunder of dungeons, and no evil for good to meet. Welcome to a world of daydreamers, water watchers, sunbathers, tree talkers, flower feelers, fruit eaters, layabouts, and lollygaggers, my kind of people. Welcome to the Jubilee at the end of the world. Welcome to every story that's been left behind. Welcome to Goblins and Gardens." Goblins and Gardens is a tarot deck featuring artwork collaged together from gardening encyclopedias and Dungeons and Dragons books and modules. So what are you waiting for? Let's open the gate. And the inside of the box is plain. It's a nice two-piece box. I believe this deck is still available. It is independently published. And when it first came out, it really did take the tarot community by storm. This is the small little white booklet pamphlet, and it is just as quirky as the whole premise of this book. So I think they did a really nice job. I don't want to say it's poems, but they're just little stanzas. So I guess poems that talk about the setting of the deck or the character, and then it gives like a little synopsis up here with keywords. For death, it says pass, webs, fear, and threshold. We'll dig into that a little bit later when we pull a card. These are the awesome backs. One of my favorite backs. This is a glossy linen texture, which you know my feelings on gloss. I love it. Linen is always so flexible but durable. It has a nice snapback. It is nice and flexible. And it is good for riffle shuffling and overhand. It has beautifully gilded edges, gold. And here we go. Let me just pull down, get in frame, and we'll start the flip through. This has to be one of the coolest decks that I have in my collection. I love the combination. It reminds me of the trend that's going on right now, which is low stakes fantasy, where you may have a character that is a typical fantasy character, but they're going about their normal day-to-day life, and their normal day-to-day life looks much like ours, right? And I really have been loving that genre in books and in video content and movies and now tarot. I know that a lot of people have commented on how the images don't always exactly match up to the traditional tarot meaning, but I think that this deck is here to have a lot of fun, to kind of go in its own direction, but you can still glean the traditional tarot meanings from the cards. This is a good example. This is very much a wheel. the Wheel of Fortune. It has all the symbolism here to pull from the traditional meanings. Justice is a little bit more intense, I think is the right word, than normal. But I mean, justice is very intense, and it's not always a fair thing. And I think it's just calling out to that part. I like that the black and white with the colorful herbs and flora, fauna, vegetables. I think it's a really good balance. It catches your eye, right? So the color draws you in right away, but then there's a lot of texture with the black and white. And I think this is just such a fun, immersive deck. There's nothing out there quite like it. And for someone who is really looking for decks that are on the quirkier side, a deck that holds that nerdiness and says, it's okay, and here I am, and it's unapologetic in that, I'm here for. As I said, I do believe that this is still in print. I think I got it on the second or third run of this deck, and I'm so excited to have it in my collection, as I keep saying. But I mean, who doesn't love some fantasy and like vegetables like this asparagus here? I mean, come on. It's full of character. It's adorable. Of course, I say adorable with one of the most provocative looking cards, but that's just kind of how it works, I guess. The bear and the berries. Love it. It's definitely a conversation starter. It's something that people double take at and they're like, huh? What? What is going on? It puts me in a really good mood anytime I just need a laugh, or I'm at the point of like, maybe I've had a bad day and I don't want to still be in that sadness or in that toughness. It kind of brings me out of it. It gives a little bit of humor to things, and I appreciate it. You know, it's like that friend who you go to them for the laugh factor. They're going to make fun of the situation and pull you out of that despair in a different way than another friend does. That's what this deck reminds me of. I'm really interested to see if this artist is planning on doing anything more in the future. I think a companion oracle would be really cool. I think that the writings and the cards like in oracle form could really like just be out of this world, because oracle doesn't really have to subscribe to a system so much as tarot does. And I think there's a little bit more room for that quirkiness to come through, not only in the art, but in the writing as well. As we'll take a look and draw a card after the flip through is done. But if you don't have this deck and you've been on the fence and you just are unsure, I mean, I can understand. It is a very different kind of deck. It is a little out there, and working with it can be a little clunky at first, especially if you aren't open to having the cards and what's depicted not always match. Like, for example, here we have 8 of Swords, but it looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, only 7 of these. And I think for a lot of people that might hinder or distract or, I don't know, bother them. This one has 9 of these leaves here. So like I said, it's not every card. But if you go into it knowing that it's really here to have some fun, it's really here to paint a different story and kind of break out of the norm a little bit and stray just a hair from the traditional tarot meanings a little bit, then I think it would be great to onboard into your collection. I was really deep into World of Warcraft, which I know isn't Dungeons and Dragons, but it's kind of in a way the digital version of it. And so this really brings me back to those days where I was so obsessed with World of Warcraft, and like to the point where it became a problem. I was addicted, to say the least. I loved playing that game. You could just create a character and be in this immersive, almost endless world. It felt like you could create a character and a background and a story and a name, and you could choose what your race and class was. And that's similar to, or the basis of, what Dungeons and Dragons is all about. It's story and fantasy and exploration and just having fun, not being afraid to be a little nerdy, kind of just going for it. And I really appreciate that because this brings me out of my shell in that way. It reminds me that life is too short not to have fun, not to have a laugh, not to have bold, bright colors, not to be our fantasy selves or embrace part of our fantasy selves. So I'm just going to zoom up a little bit and we'll have a shuffle. Like I mentioned earlier, the linen gloss cardstock makes this super flexible, super easy to shuffle. If you have a hard time with cards, shuffling, if you have arthritis, or if it's just hard for you to grip things, this is a great cardstock. It is a little bit wider than tarot is normally. Let me see. I have my Sassari Beetle right here next to me. So, just for comparison, it's about the same height, but it is a little bit wider. But I think that that's not a problem. You can shuffle it this way with thinner, flexible cardstock. You can just kind of do whatever. Shuffle it however. You can do it from the side. Overhand. Or you can overhand it this way. It's very versatile in how you can shuffle it, even though it is a bit of a larger cardstock. I would say this is more like oracle size. So let's ask the deck here if we could have a card so we can read from the guidebook. But I saw a backwards card. The Emperor. Okay. So, the Emperor. The Emperor. The keywords are rebuild, garden, yield, and protection. Every river runs its course, every empire crumbles. But if one pools their wisdom, pivots their perspective, and confronts their own violence, then one can abdicate to become a mountain lake that feeds a caldera garden. This is a new dawn for the Emperor. Wisdom and experience are easily divorced from authority and dominion. Thinking with the garden is a lifelong lesson. Living with the land is a generational commitment. Like, holy cow, how deep does that go for such a little meaning like that? Or a little, like a little amount that this guidebook has for each of the entries. I mean, such a powerful impact. And that's why it's writing is super powerful, and it really does matter what you do with your words and how you craft your words. So I'm just gonna lay out the cards. I think this is a deck that will make you smile. It's a deck that will bring some character and some color and some light into your day. I think that this deck would be great for spring and summertime, but I also think that even during the darker half of the year, the winter months, that this could really give you some, like a breath of fresh air, like a palate cleanser. It can bring some hope into your day. So I say don't be afraid to use this outside of spring and summer. And I think that can be hard for a lot of people, right? Because they want to match what's going on outside with what they are doing inside with their decks. But I think sometimes when you do the opposite, that it can be even more impactful of a reading or of a card pull than if you did match up the season with your deck. So just something to keep in mind. Don't just limit yourself to using your deck seasonally. I think that it is a fun thing to do. I think that it makes a lot of logical sense, but I don't always feel like it gives you ample opportunity to really work with your full collection. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this Arcana Archives. I have a playlist of all the other decks that I've done so far in this series. If you want to check that out, I would really appreciate it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more tarot related content from me. And until next time, see you around.